Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Crate Expectations. I'm here with Sarah.
Just Sarah.
It's weird.
Uh,
How are you today, Sarah?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good enough. Yeah, we just learned about a new ship that's coming out.
Just learned.
Yeah.
Yeah, they dropped
Yep.
they dropped the kit with a whole bunch of critical info missing out of it.
Yeah. It's like why? But okay, so we can talk about that.
Mhm.
I guess before we get too far into it, folks, just remember that this is the first episode, or the first section of this episode. Once we're done talking about the things that we talk about on my half of the show, it would go to Sarah's channel and watch the second half. You can find it in the video description, or there's probably going to be a button to push if you're lazy and you want to wait all the way through. There's just be a button to push, and it'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Sarah, what are we talking about today?
Okay, so you said it. They announced a new ship today.
The
So
Scythe,
the Scythe. Scythe?
as you would say.
Scythe.
Yeah, it's
Don't confuse
Scythe.
me.
You were like, is this Scythe? I was like, no, it's in the sky, but it's not the Scythe.
It's Scythe. Okay. Um, yeah, so we've got a new ship, and then we'll do a character review that is related to the ship. Because why not? And you've got a great triggering photo, which should be fantastic. And then we've got
That's really triggering.
a couple of viewer questions. The pack review is going to be a little bit different today, just because again there is nothing that we haven't already reviewed, but there is something that we can go over. And then a roster roast.
Yeah, who knows? They probably don't have a good roster.
Yeah, well, it's going to be an interesting one. I'll say that.
You make me sad. All right, so I'm so I'm already cringing. I'm like just anticipating them not having their pilotless ships leveled.
Oh, just wait. Uh, okay.
Or maybe that's all their roster is. They just made it to spite me. They're like, "What? You don't have ammunition. That's all. That's literally the only thing I farmed.
Yeah, pilotless ships.
That's it."
They're good. Um, okay, so let's talk about this ship because this has been the worst kept secret in the game.
Yeah. So we were right again to trust
Yeah,
the source that is always right.
correct.
It's not like we're like spy masters. People ask me, they're like, "What? How do you keep getting accurate information?" I'm like, "I'm a spy master." Or I ask them, "What does your heart tell you?" It just makes them angry.
But I mean, this source hasn't been wrong, so we'll just keep going with it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so we're getting this ship, the Scythe, right? Yes. Uh, um,
Scythe.
and so when this was released, when the kit came out today, there were no pilots. So immediately everyone was kind of like, is this a crewless ship? Um, and there was no information about where we would get the ship. So there was some vital info that was missing.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
hmm So it
And
is,
we shouldn't be surprised that he snuck in and added that stuff, the vital info,
yep,
because yeah, he did.
it's been edited. So it's
Yeah.
there. We know this is the Conquest reward. So Conquest is going to start on Monday, on the 31st. And this is going to be the reward, which is what we knew. It is an Inquisitor ship. Grand Inquisitor is one of the pilots, which is also like why a bunch of us were confused because the like header image with all of the synergies and stuff on it has Grand Inquisitor on it walking off of the ship. But anyway, he's one of the pilots, and Fifth Brother is the other pilot. So it's a
For
two
fun.
pilot ship.
I thought they'd gotten rid of that. disappointed. I guess I didn't really think they got rid of it because the resistance bomber
Right. That's
has
true.
two. I just oh, whatever. Like if you have Grand Inquisitor, I guess you have Fifth Brother anyways of Relic 5. So
That's the thing, right? So if you have Grand Inquisitor, you already have the other pilot. It's not like you need to work on them.
I get. I mean, however, depending is the thing, and we're probably not going to do a really in-depth kit review, but okay, so the way summoned ships go, so it summons two TIE fighters to go with you, which
Yes.
it's actually fairly like what happens if you take it in from reserve and
Hmm.
there's already four ships out and it's the fifth, like the other ships
They
that they
don't
just
get
don't,
summoned.
or they just summon one potentially.
It will only summon if you have two empty. So if you have two empty slots after, or basically you need to have less than five ships on the field once it's out.
Right. So, anyways, I mean that's easily enough answered. I guess the biggest
Hmm.
question would be, like, are we all going to have a relic 9 or relic 10 or whatever the next relic level is, fifth brother and Grand Inquisitor? Because the Tie fighters, like, it summons two full Tie fighters who, like, they get their stats based off of the pilots.
Right. It's a good point. It's a
Yeah,
very good point. So
I'm looking at your
theoretically,
fifth, looking at your fifth brother right now.
hmm.
That sounds creepy, but but like you have six, or sorry, you have 5A mods. You don't have any 6E, and that's not
Correct.
shade. Like you don't need them right now. You eventually probably want to do that, but
Hmm.
right now you don't need to, and you're gonna want to though here pretty soon.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're gonna need to. So yay.
Yeah. So what do you think about how they just like they're like, hey, executrix, like
Right.
you are the assigned ship. What do you
Yeah.
thought? What are your thoughts?
It's very interesting because I feel like they started with kind of like hinting at ships that you would want to put together. So like in I think it was Ravenclaw's kit, Raven's Claw, whatever that ship
You
is.
sure you don't mean Hufflepuff?
Oh man, I realized what I was saying as soon as I said it. You know, the Hogwarts ship. Um, it's got anti smuggler or anti scoundrel, whatever.
Is it cargo ship or something? I don't remember.
Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah,
it
like
doesn't want to be with the Falcon essentially.
specifically with the Falcon. Yeah, they're like has to be with the fleet that isn't the Falcon. Yep.
Right. So like they started hinting at that, and then I feel like they just got really they started getting really specific because they started that with um with profundity, with saying that having like Phoenix reinforcements and now they're just naming ships.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know where I stand exactly on this. I'm gonna have to come up with some kind of explanation. So, people don't like how prescriptive things have gotten,
Right.
and I kind of don't like. I just got on my main account, like I have my executrix counter to be able to kill profundity. Like it's not 100%, but it works pretty consistently. Like it's like 80%, and even if you lose with it a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times you can get it to a clean upable situation. You
Right.
know. So it's nice, and now I'm like, I don't really need another ship to help me with that. And now it's like almost in a way. So okay, obviously, if you get the profundity, you're better off than you were with just having home one, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But there's a certain level of loss that I've felt, at least, not having the rebel fleet, the home one fleet.
Yeah.
That like now, I finally got the claw up to or it's not relics, but up to 7 stars, and it's doing its part. It's on defense actually. It's okay, but like I have to rearrange all of my counters to take that into, and so now my whole fleet situation looks way different. And
Hmm.
and yes, profundity is an upgrade. It's a better makes your fleets better, but it feels like a loss. Sometimes you're like, I can't use home one. I'm not as flexible. Like I just don't. You have to rearrange it, and that's what this ship is going to do for this, because Executrix has begun factoring in as one of my most important fleets
Hmm.
on offense, and now it's suddenly just not. Like
Right.
it, well, or it will, or it'll even be more important, but for different things, and I'll have to find other things to counter the stuff that it's countering currently.
Right. It's gonna be interesting actually, because a lot of the things that I was seeing today were people were because the kids talking about like anti-Jedi and all of that kind of stuff, specifically about Jedi fleets. But a lot of the chatter that I was seeing in particular were people wondering how it would work against profundity and what it would do for the executrix counter to profundity,
Mm-hmm.
and whether that was going to, you know, make it better or worse.
Well, the funny thing to me is, like if it doesn't fit into that counter,
Mhm.
and it doesn't actually, it's not part of a profundity counter, then I almost like I'd be tempted to just leave it. I'm like, well, it can still kind of go with the chimera, like
Right.
as a backup, like. But if it doesn't fit into that counter, like what do I need the most right now? Like, do I need just another like random, like malevolence level fleet?
Hmm.
Or do I need a fleet that can, for the most part, punch the best capital ship in the game in the teeth and actually walk away with most of its banners? Like, obviously, want that profundity counter more than anything else. So, unless this moves the needle on that counter, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Really, I don't know if
Right.
I. It'll move the needle though. It looks really good.
It does look really good. And this is the other thing. So, like, I was seeing a lot of chatter about that, but then I was also seeing a lot of chatter about people being like, well, I don't really care about it. I'm not going to, and I'm like, just have it sit on your bench, guys. Like,
I
like,
just.
just not actively going to chase it because whether they don't want to build Inquisitors or they don't care because it's an Inquisitor ship or whatever it is, I'm like, just, it, to me, I'm like, the pain. I've never even done proving grounds, but the pain that I would immediately feel associated with proving grounds would be enough to incentivize me to not have to do that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Proving grounds farms are the most painful farms. It looks like so far,
Mhm.
I haven't had to do them, and that my alt that owes that to you, of course.
Right. This is
So,
true.
but I try to be gracious, and she's just like, nope, just gonna make you pay for that. But anyways, I, I don't know. I've said this for a long time. So have you. The Inquisitors are. CG's been sending such a loud and strong message.
Hmm.
Inquisitors are important. Inquisitors are important. Farm your frickin' Inquisitors. Like, you need them for the galactic challenges, and that might fade off a little bit now that we're doing cartel every time instead.
Right.
But I mean, they've been in conquest. They've been in all the things.
Assault battles.
Yeah, like they have their own mission. Now we're gonna get Riva, who I think is super ironic that she's gonna save them, considering she's like the
Right.
one that they all think is stupid
Hmm.
and awful. But like now like the pilot of one of the like a game changing ship, like one of the conquest ships. Now there's three of them that are pilots of conquest ships,
Yeah.
and this one's gonna move. So now they're going to be like transcendent once we get Riva, or maybe not transcendent.
I just thought of something. Sorry, it literally just
No,
popped
go
into my
ahead.
head. So, like you said, they've been kind of like all but flat out saying you're going to want Inquisitors, you're going to want Inquisitors. Um, and then they they've mentioned Riva's going to be the character in the new territory battles. They flat out said in whatever it was, the State of Galaxy, when they were talking about the territory battles, that it is the Empire hunting down the Jedi. This is an anti-Jedi ship. This is probably going to make, if there is a fleet combat in the new territory battle, this is
Ah,
probably
there you
going
go.
to make that battle very easy.
Ah, I like that. That's a good point, Sarah.
It literally just popped into my brain.
Literally.
You saw it happen.
Yeah, I just saw it just like insert itself. It was just like
Uh,
zoop.
but if that's how they're marketing, that's what they're saying this new TV is going to be, and they're saying this is anti-Jedi, and we're all
There you go.
here kind of like, oh well, like negotiator, I guess, like maybe TB.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I just
Mhm.
don't. And you're right to do that. Like I'm glad that you pointed that out. That's. So this is erroneous thinking from. So I mean, I can't even. I can't really hardly blame myself really, but it is a fault, a failing on some levels at least. That I think in terms of GAC first by far, and then
Yes.
sometimes I think of territory wars. And honestly, by and large, the community has been trained to think that way lately
Hmm.
because there hasn't been a whole lot of stuff. Like, my first thought isn't like, oh man, I need a new conquest unit or need something for a
Right.
raid. And territory battles has been solved for both of my accounts for a really long time.
Hmm.
So, but we are going to need to shift our thinking toward territory battles. Like that's going to be a necessary component. Like
Hmm.
we're all like humming and hawing about like, are we gonna actually have to apply an Omicron
Yeah.
to for territory battles? Like, how much investment in ships are we gonna also need?
Yeah, that's the thing. And I mean, like I do think this is going to be a good ship for GAC as well, whether you use it specifically against
Oh yeah,
negotiator or you use it for some other kind of counter. It sounds like it's going to be a ton of fun. Um,
all that foresight on TIE fighters and like giving Executrix a ton of turn. It's gonna be obnoxious as hell. That's
well,
on defense.
and honestly, the really cool thing with this is that like it summons the two TIE fighters, and it doesn't matter if you reinforce or start it, it will summon the two TIE fighters either way,
Right,
as long as you have um enough room to have five ships on the board,
right.
right?
Well, then you can also just add the non-summoned TIE fighter as well.
Right. Like it's
At least it reads that way. So you could have three of them, and they can all, if they have
hmm
when they have foresight, they're all marking. They're all marked.
hmm which is insane.
Well, I want to put Emperor Shuttle with them because that makes it really tough to kill him as well.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you could just do a lot of different things with this. I mean, it does really obviously because they call out executrix. I think that is going to be the best fleet for it. I don't know.
Sure.
I'm not the best ship. I'm not a ship theory crafter at all whatsoever, so I couldn't tell you how good that it would be under Chimera. I think it might still have legs under Chimera, but not. I don't think it'll be close to what it can do with Executrix.
Ships don't have legs unless they're buzz droids, Sarah.
Maybe they do. How do you think they land?
You're not a ship poster.
No.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know how it's gonna. One thing I was thinking, so I need to look at the kit more deeply. So
Hmm.
some people who are more educated than me might listen to this and just be like, "Oh, there goes Zareth, like saying stupid crap again," and I fully agree. But uh, I just wonder, like, how often, like. I want to know what his mechanics are for summoning because it just seems like a really good plug and play tank kind of situation too. Like this seems like a Geobrood Alpha potential
Hmm.
thing where like Geobrood Alpha can hang out with whoever. Like I just throw him with Sith Eternal right now.
Hmm.
And Sith Eternal, well, sadly it's gonna go away, but that Datacron really makes that Brood Alpha, that brute, like impossible to kill because of all that extra armor and stuff.
Oh.
But either way, like it's just nice to have a plug and play tank, and I'm wondering if that's something that's possible. I think now that I'm saying it, I think maybe Executrix is the one that gives them marked though on the Tie Fighters.
Yes, it is. It says if the ally ship is Executrix, just that it'll summon the two
Okay.
TIE fighters, and while an ally Imperial TIE fighter has foresight, they are also marked. Um, it doesn't say, yeah, it doesn't say. I don't think those TIE fighters come back, if that's what you're asking.
No, I'm just thinking like, well, if they have foresight And I mean, it just depends. Like, are those TIE fighters actually going to have the same kit? Because if they have foresight and they're
Oh.
marked,
Hmm.
then you're going to be feeding your own. Like, let's say you just throw them with home one for like just randomly, but home one would still get like TIE fighter when it dodges, it still gives turn meter to its allied capital ship. It doesn't matter what capital ship it is.
Hmm.
And so, like it could be like a plug and play, like here, like you have to kill these TIE fighters first, but they have foresight and they have, like they have as much evasion as my relic levels would give me. And therefore, like they'd be a pain to kill. And by then, your own ship has boosted itself so much
Hmm.
that like you get your ultimate off. Like, can you imagine putting it with Malevolence, for instance? And, uh, you know, I
Well,
mean, maybe Malevolence wouldn't be great because you have other summons to be worried about too.
true.
But if Malevolence could get a really early ult, might be pretty cool.
Well, and it's also going to be annoying too because you're going to have to hit the TIE fighter that's marked. It's going
Hmm.
to evade. So you feed the churn meter, and then Scythe is gonna be like, okay, I'll guess I'll just basic and get a critical hit here, which will give the TIE fighter foresight again because it doesn't have it
Right.
anymore, and it's still marked.
Yep.
Like,
No, I mean it just depends on how it all plays out. But
mhm,
I mean it seems like a really strong ship. So
does.
um, honestly, TIE fighter pilot, the most outrageous times in fleets for me, the times that I've like lost entire like combats in
Mhm.
like entire fleet zones in GAC is a lot of times attributed to TIE fighter pilot dodging more than it should.
Right, right. Yeah, this is gonna be annoying.
I this is just an extension of set 4 data commons.
Oh, why do you gotta bring it back to that?
Well,
Uh,
what? I mean, that evasion has entered the chat. I mean, that's just how it works.
uh, I don't like that. Dislike. Dislike. Yes.
Yeah.
So this is the ship, and then I guess so we'll get it in. It'll unlock. I'm assuming if it's like all of the other conquest ships we've had, it'll unlock at 5 stars. You'll have it max at 7 in 3 conquests. Assuming you get red crate.
Right. So actually the season 2 of this conquest season, or
Mhm.
the second session,
Mhm.
what would you call it?
It's the second iteration of it, I guess.
Okay. Well, I thought the conquest guru like you would just have
I
have something fancy.
I call them all like each one is a new season to me or is a new version. So like this one coming up is 22. So the second one will be 23.
Okay. All right. So but one way or another, if you get the conquest pass,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm not telling people you have to. People are like, don't tell me how to spend their freaking money. That's fine, but like, don't do it. I want the comparative advantage that it gets me from you not getting it. But the
I
conquest
said
pass,
something similar today.
yeah, it is an amazing value. But
Mm-hmm.
one way or another, though. So we got the conquest pass. And if you buy all of the shards possible,
Mm-hmm.
it then you can get you for the second pass, you should be able to get a 5-star scythe before season or before a GAC lock on week 1.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Uh,
I think that's how it worked on the other ships. Everyone was locking
mhm.
in with a 5 star, whatever the last ship was. The Inquisitor,
Inquis
whatever.
yeah, the tint.
The tint. Um, yeah. Yeah, you'd be able to.
Yeah, the not that anyone figured out how to use tie interceptor worth the damn at first, anyways. But like it made me laugh. I remember one of the competitive guilds. In Territory Wars, like when Starkiller was first being unlocked, like they found there's some kind of like loophole that let them go and unlock Starkiller before Territory War lock. And so they get Starkiller, they upgrade Starkiller all the way up, but it's territory wars, and they ended up just not using him at all because it's like a high end guild, and he
Yeah.
wasn't that good in territory wars at the start anyway. So
Hmm.
everyone was like, someone sent me a screenshot. They're like, "Yeah, we have a ton of Starkiller. We're gonna destroy in this war." I don't even know how they ended up doing it. It was just funny because it's like, well, that loophole really helped you, didn't it?
Not so much. Oh
Yeah.
man. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. Oh, and the other thing is they did clarify that TIE fighters, for the buffs that Scythe gives out and everything, have to be Imperial TIE fighters, not like First Order TIE fighters. Will not count.
Oh, okay. I mean, the way you never know what their language use, so who knows?
Yeah.
But I guess that's a good clarification. I mean, if they were good at technical writing, I
Mhm.
would say that it's apparent in the kit. Like it just says
Totally.
Imperial TIE Fighter. It's like, well, yeah.
Totally. But somebody will just say, "Oh, it's TIE fighters," but it does say Imperial TIE fighter in the whole kit. Anytime they mention TIE fighter, it says
Mm,
Imperial in front of it.
cool.
So,
So guys, work on your frickin' Inquisitors.
or
Or
don't, or
don't.
don't.
I hope you don't. Okay, so let's do triggering photo, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, here it is. We're not even showing BB-8. We're in the game and we're showing. This actually just made me laugh.
Oh man.
It's so like all right, so I just recently crashed in GAC using my best team
Mhm.
possible to
Mhm.
counter Lord Vader, and that team just got dumpstered. Like I just had to throw it away. It just like didn't get me anything. Didn't even take any health off. Didn't kill any characters. It just like Dash and Ray and
Mhm.
Bam and everyone in the trash can, and it felt bad. This one is similar though. Like so, we're in the middle of like every person's crashing all the time, and it's hard to take GAC seriously.
Mhm.
This one though, no one could possibly lose to this, and
Ugh.
yet it got a hold.
It's just so, and like I feel it's one of those things that hurts even more because you know that they were taking in some character that was going to solo it. They're going to get max banners, and
Oh,
not anymore.
yeah, and their opponent's like, "How did I hold?"
Yeah, they're like, what happened here? Uh
And it's just because they crashed. They crashed, and it's sad. I mean,
there is nothing more panic inducing right now in this game than when the spinning loading circle stops actually spinning because it is going into the battle,
yeah,
but it kind of hangs up for a second and it sits there and then the battle loads. Every time it stops, I'm like, no, 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 no. And then it goes in every single time.
yeah. I'll,
So
I'll,
I
I'll
feel
tell you
for
what.
us.
The old my I have a new phone, and it's somewhat fancy, and it's way more stable than my last one in this game. The
Hmm.
the two times that I've lost so far have been times like in territory wars today,
Hmm.
after I had reset my phone in and immediately went in to attack. Like I thought that was gonna help. That's what people have said is like,
Yeah,
yeah,
close the app and restart it or whatever.
yeah. So I did that. Hard closed it. I opened it up, started it up, went straight to the fight, crashed. And the other time that happened, I did the exact same thing, and that was the one when it crashed for my raid team against Lord Vader.
And your phone is new.
Yeah, brand new, and like the expensive
Yeah.
version of everything. Like it's a very nice phone,
Well,
and
and like that's the thing, because some people were kind of thinking maybe the crashes were related to memory issues, and if you have an older phone, you're more likely to have memory issues and all of this stuff. But like your phone is new,
right. Oh yeah,
so
yeah. It is. It has been much more stable than my old one, actually.
mhm.
But one way or another, we're out of time. We're going to go over to Sarah's channel and talk about more stuff. Talking about Fifth Brother as well, folks. So
Mhm.
it's going to be a great time, no doubt.
A crate time.
Most deaf. I wish I was deaf for that one.